Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast, adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Christian, and I'm all hands off deck, and joining me today is Bobby.
Deck's out for Harambe. That's an old one. That's straight out of 2016 right there.
God, he's such a cultural touchstone. Well, I was going to say it's good that he died, but obviously it wasn't. Anyways, moving on. This week, we're going to be talking about our polar opposite opinions on deck builders. Maybe a deck builder duel, if maybe we could get some spooky Western music, I don't know. I got my anti-pistols. Bobby has his pro pistols. Yeah, but first, what's new? So maybe Bobby, start us off. What's going on?
So I'll tell you what's new with me. I got a lot of stuff going on in my office here. I have moved my gaming PC to a new case. Not just any case, but a rack-mounted case. So, oh boy, it's going to be hard not to get technical and nerdy on this. So I'll give you the high-level view, but...
You're giving like the worst person technical info. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? Because I built a rack. It's got networking, and all my computers are getting moved into it. And it's just sitting right next to me. Pictures are coming soon on Discord. I'll post that. But it's funny because my girlfriend asked me, she's like, so why does a computer need to be in a rack and not just a computer case? And I was like, I don't know. Because it's cool, I guess.
It's just better this way.
It just
don't ask me any more questions, okay? Don't. Yeah. I'm sensitive about my rack, about my computer rack.
All right, what's in this? There are some big improvements here. So I'm going to be running 3 computers in the rack here. One of them is my gaming PC.
Why not?
I do it. I have the room. I could. Okay. Well, actually, technically it is 4 if you count my Mac sitting on the shelf in the rack.
Right. Oftentimes we don't count those. That's fair. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
But the exciting thing is here, I've got a 10 gig switch and the 10 gig NIC. So they're all going to be connected with that. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite get up to 10 gigs. It's like about 3/4 of that. But still, that's pretty cool. But my big concern was cooling and noise. And I gotta say, the cooling is about the same that I expect, the same that I had in my Fractal Design Torrent case, which was an absolute beast of a case. I mean, that was a giant case. It was very, there weren't a lot of fans in that case, but it had great airflow and it did a really good job of cooling. And it also was pretty quiet. The fans got noisy, but the case had some sound dampening in it, I think, and it just did a good job of containing the noise. The new case that I put it in is a Silverstone RM51, which is a 5-unit case. And so it takes up a lot of room on the rack. The cooling is fine. The fans do their job and they're not too loud, but the coil whine from my RTX 480 is so much more noticeable in this.
What is a coil whine? Like some sort of delicious drink? What are you talking about? I don't know.
Pairs well with fish. Coil whine is a problem that video cards have where the coils make a whining sound, like a high-pitched squeal.
Could you give us your best coil whine?
I mean, I could put my mic right down next to the case and you could hear it live. You might even pick up on it in the background.
Okay.
But I don't think my vocals hit that register. But yeah, it's more noticeable and it's kind of annoying, but I guess I don't really notice it unless I'm actually listening for it. But that's been a problem ever since I got the 4080. Love that video card, not a fan about the noise. It was an EVGA card, and I guess they don't make video cards anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to be replacing it anytime soon. But anyway, it's been a lot going on in my office. Even before this podcast started, I was like scrambling, getting all the cables, because now I've got to run cables like a little bit longer and they're going everywhere and things just are kind of in disarray right now. But everything seems to be working. I can hear you. You can hear me. I can see you. So things are plugged in and apparently working right now.
I'm in the server. I'm in Bobby's server right now. Cool. I hope you take before and after pictures. I have terrible cord management in my one computer office setup. It's actually pretty disgusting, but I've seen pictures of people with complicated 5 screens, his and her setups that have just beautiful the cable management is almost the thing that's cool about the setup, not like the RGB or anything like that. So I don't know, is that going to be the case for you, or?
I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be functional, but I'm not going to make it super pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I don't want to see him, basically. Like, it can be a rat's nest, but if I can't see it, then it's fine.
It doesn't exist. Yes, that's actually the same game I play with my daughter when I'm under the blanket, and then I disappear in her world, of course, because she doesn't have the brain power to imagine that someone could actually be under there and not visible.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't develop object permanence until, like, what, 3 years old?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't quiz me. Don't quiz me right now. Okay. So what's new with me? I went to a local Calgary game dev meetup. I did a little informal presentation with a couple other great people on games marketing. I'd recommend everyone go to their local game dev meetup, even if you're not interested in developing games yourself. If you're just a hobbyist, you listen to this podcast, so I assume you're interested more than the average person, but the energy there is just really awesome. People are so excited to show off their projects, and this kind of ranges from, Devolver's head of engineering for some reason lives in Calgary, and he was there, all the way to people who are like students and doing this part-time and just kind of entering the industry with their first idea. And so you walk through the crowd and you get this nice array of people's projects, and you can just like feel the passion in the room for gaming. So yeah, I'd recommend everyone look up your local one and stop by, support any events that they have. What I talked about when I was there was the exciting topic of misaligned marketing. If Bobby didn't make you go to sleep with the hardware specs, maybe this will, but we had a past client at the job I used to have, which was at a marketing PR agency. And we got this client around 1.5 million views on their IGN trailer. And that was actually the worst outcome we could have ever done maybe not the worst outcome we ever could have done for them, but because the marketing asset we brought to IGN was so misaligned with what the actual experience of playing the game was going to be. 1.5 million people watched this. A large portion of them wishlisted the game and bought the game on day one, and it was nothing like what the trailer was advertising. So, I mean, we've all seen this, like we're all familiar with misaligned marketing, but that was what my presentation was on. So I don't know, if you're interested on that, send me a message over Discord. I'll happily send over that presentation. And shout out to the Calgary Game Developer Group for reaching out and having me out there. It was great to stop by.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, take that, Tower Bobby. Yeah, what?
So you were actually presenting this in front of people, like a live audience?
Mm-hmm, a live audience, yeah. And I'm kind of a bit. I have stage. I'm not a confident group speaker. I say I would have a mild degree of stage fright, and I've kind of been working on that over time. I've taken some improv classes and presentations in front of people, and I think I get more nervous when I'm presenting something over webcam these days to like a large amount of people, just because like I can't see them all. I can't see their reaction. There's no real read on the crowd. So like, I don't know, if I'm doing something at work, I'm like, I hope people are liking this because I have no reception from the energy of the room.
You can't feed off of anything, but I don't know. I still find that a little easier. I have to do a lot of presenting in my job, and I've strangely gotten addicted to it. I mean, it's always nerve-wracking. There's always a lot of anxiety, but like I love the thrill. Like I'm totally addicted to it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I've got another one coming up end of July where I'm going to be presenting in front of a lot of people. I did the same thing last year, did a pretty good job, but
for what? What are you presenting? This is new news to me. Now we're off on a bird walk, but I like it.
I mean, I got to do presentations all the time, but like it's usually, sometimes it's not to very large groups, but like this particular one is going to be to school administrations, like principals, associate principals, and the district I work for, we've got like 200 schools almost. So it tends to be a lot of people, but it's also a lot of like important people, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this one's it's not going to be super exciting. It's going to be on content filtering and some stuff. But yeah, I don't know. But I also have to do stuff that's like very public facing as well. And I don't know. I really have, when I was younger, like the worst thing you could have ever asked me to do is like get up in front of the class and give a book report. But now it's just like I totally I feed off of the anxiety. I don't know what it is.
Dude, you have a certain gravitas, I will say. You have a stage presence. You have a personality, an onstage personality that I think comes through really well. So, I mean, you're formally trained. You're an actor or something, right? I saw you in that movie, Hugh Jackman. No. Okay.
Oh, boy. I don't know. You know what? I credit this podcast with a lot of that. Doing this has helped me speak better, I think.
Totally. And when I was giving that presentation, I was thinking that too. I wasn't nearly as nervous as I had been before. I was like cracking jokes. I was one-on-one conversation with like certain questions from the audience pretty effortlessly. So yeah, I was proud of what I did. And thank you, DLG. Okay. So moving on to what we actually played this week, which was these deck builders. So Bobby, take us through Choo Choo, all aboard. What are we talking about?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about, well, deck building games in general, I guess. But I'm specifically going to be talking about Monster Train 2. Now, that came out about a month ago, and I haven't been able to talk about it until now, which is
the stupid themed episodes that we've been
I know, like I've had this one ready to go, and like I absolutely love Monster Train 2. So, I mean, the deck building genre, I'm not alone on this, but like I really like that genre. I don't know when it first started for me. I think Slay the Spire was kind of the beginning of the modern deck builder for most people. And I got absolutely hooked on that. And then one of our listeners, JP Diddy, introduced us all to a game called Monster Train. And I thought this has got to be the best one. And then I played Grifflins by Clay Entertainment. And I was like, oh no, this is the best one. And it was always like, I was always going back and forth, like which one is the best deck building game? But now I can definitively say Monster Train 2 is the best deck building game. Like this game is just outstanding. The first Monster Train was great, but this improves upon it in every way. And if you don't know, it's a roguelike deck builder, just like Slay the Spire or Grifflins. But in this one, you mix two factions together to find synergies. So imagine mixing two decks together. They call them clans in this, but you mix those together and they can kind of feed off of each other and you can find really cool synergies. And then on top of that, this game has the turn-based combat, kind of like Darkest Dungeon, except you've got 3 different rows. The characters line up, they each take turns attacking each other.
That is something unique. Sorry to interrupt, but like I'm going to go on a little tangent of why I don't like deck builders, but to its credit, Monster Train 2, the super cool turn-based tactics on the 3 different levels. That is a really neat. When I played Monster Train 2, that's what stood out for me. I was like, oh, there's something else going on here that's like really satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah. And the enemies, they move up each level and they're trying to get to your pyre is what they call it. It's like a core or it's the thing that you don't want to die, because if it dies, then you lose the game. But they're kind of marching up to that.
It's the heart of your train. It's the heart of your train, Bobby.
It is, yes. And in that way, it almost feels like a tower defense, like you're lining up these defenses and trying to prevent the enemy from marching through the core. But yeah, so I think this is just like the best deck builder game out there, and I've just been playing it nonstop. And I think the biggest reason that I like it is because it addresses a huge problem I had with the deck building genre, and that's the randomness. All games have some level of randomness. It makes it fun. It makes it feel like gambling. It's an exciting part about the game, and you need that. So these deck building games, it can get a little frustrating because you feel like you're chasing that perfect combo. Like I had a run in Slay the Spire that was just perfect. It just broke the game. And then I go back and I play and I try to force that deck again, but that's not how the game is designed. It's designed to just like give you a whole bunch of random stuff, and you've got to figure out what works and what doesn't and create the best that you can from the cards that you're given. Now, Monster Train 2 addresses this in a few ways. It gives you a little more control over how you can build your deck. The first way is they give you a deployment phase. So every time you start a battle, you always draw the same cards on the first turn, and then you can deploy those out there. And these are like your starter cards, like your, I don't know what they call it, your hero or like your main card, and then like a bunch of character cards. So you can kind of stack up your train with that line of defense. And this makes it so much easier, because a big problem that a lot of other ones had, Monster Train 1 particularly, was you could totally get screwed on that first hand. Like you could just draw a bad first hand and it's just like, well, I'm losing this one. Like there's just no way to recover from that. So this makes you feel like you got a little more of an even playing field, and it's a really nice change. They also give you some different ways to craft your deck. I am always trying to get that small deck with just the cards I need, so I draw them over and over again. That's always my strategy. I don't know if it's a good one or the best one, but that's typically how I play. But all these deck building games, they're kind of set up against that, where the ways that you can get rid of cards out of your deck or duplicate cards in your deck are very rare. Not so much the case in Monster Train 2. They give you plenty of opportunities to do that. They even have a different type of pyre that you can get that allows you to do this at any shop. So I really, and of course I always play that pyre because I love doing that. So I really like that. And the problem with the randomness for me is it just causes me to have more bad runs than good runs. Like I'll just have a run, I'm just like, I can't do anything with this, or I didn't figure out a good synergy. It's just like a waste of a run. So restart, hopefully I get something better this time. I don't know. I think that's a big part of the game, and you don't want to mess with that too much. But at the same time, I really love like a customizable card game like Magic, where you build your own deck and like everything that's in there, and like that's kind of what I would prefer.
I think that's a great point. Like if I don't have it on my notes, and I didn't think about it until you brought this up, but if you're at a place with like Balatro or like any sort of deck builder where like the first 10 seconds you find yourself, you're like restarting constantly. You're like, this isn't the hand I want. This isn't the hand I want. That's like kind of a fault of the game's design. Like that's like a shitty thing that you're optimizing the player to want a certain set of starting conditions, and they're just going to force that. They'll restart it 10 times and it'll just be a waste of fucking time, Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it turns games into slot machines, basically. Like you just keep cranking the handle till you get something that's good. And that's can be quote unquote addictive, but not necessarily engaging for a game. But on top of that, there's other improvements and additions to this game. Now, Monster Train, it's strange because Monster Train 2 is a very complicated game. I played a ton of the first one, so I'm familiar with a lot of its mechanics and a lot of the stuff in it. But for anybody just picking up the game for the first time, there's so much going on, and I could see it being very confusing. It adds a lot on top of the first game, but most of it is very good. So they add room cards, which basically just creates like each of those 3 layers, you can modify that somehow with a card.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, they even have one that's just like does 50 damage every turn. So you turn one level into like an incinerator, basically. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Maybe pair that up with like some spell cards. It could be pretty effective. The other thing is it adds abilities. So characters have abilities that you can activate, and you choose when to activate them. So it makes it a little more interactive rather than this whole set them up, knock them down. Set them up, hit play, and then watch it all play out. Like you can actually play a little more proactive or a little more active in the game, which I think is cool. I already mentioned you can get different pyres. So that's just like another dial you can turn, style of play that you can choose. And then probably the biggest thing is it adds an undo button. So I don't know if people knew this, but in the first Monster Train, you could just Alt F4, like hard crash the game and totally restart the battle. I did it all the time. Probably not intended, probably cheating, probably looked down upon. Okay. I don't care. I do not care. If I had a bad run, I was like, no, we're trying that again. This game doesn't let you do that. But it does give you an undo button. And at first I was like, okay, it's all right. It's not as good. But now I've totally used it as not even like an undo button. I use it like, let's see what happens if I were to play it this turn this way. No, I didn't like that. Okay, undo, let's try it this way. No, that's even worse. Let's go back to the first way. And then I'll play it out like that. So I think the undo button was a good addition, a smart addition, a good middle ground. It seems fair.
But you don't like, because part of it, of the game that is fun is like the stakes of doing something wrong. You feel like with that removed, it's not actually losing on anything, really?
Well, there's so much going on in this game, you don't know how certain things are going to play out. Now, if you've played video games or Magic or like anything, you're familiar with a lot of the terminology like spikes or trample or, you know, a lot of these key terms. You know what that's going to do. And then when you hover over with a card, it'll tell you like, okay, this will give you this much health. It'll, you know, take this much health away from the enemy or kill them. Like it does help you out, but you know, you want to make informed decisions. And sometimes even with all the stuff that they have in there, you don't know exactly how things are going to play out when you play a certain card. I run into this. I've been playing a lot more Magic with Emilio recently, and I run into this with playing that game. Like I don't know what's going to happen when I play cards, but I'm just kind of curious, so I just do it. It's probably not the best play, and I don't want to sit there for like 10 minutes, like figuring everything out while everybody's waiting for me. So I'm just like, you know, and it's like it's not like I'm high stakes or anything. So I'm just like, screw it. I'll just play the turn and we'll see what happens. It seems cool, but really I just want to see how it plays out. So the undo button really allows you to do that in Monster Train 2. Now I do kind of get stuck in my ways when I'm playing this game. I play the same two factions. I try to get the same type of deck or make something to work, but they have this mode called Dimensional Portal. And it's basically preset modifiers. So it forces you to play with these two, like certain factions, and forces you to play with like these different mutators or modifiers. And it's almost just like in Heroes of the Storm, like the brawl mode, where it's just like for fun, you know, let's just crank this up to 11 and see what happens. Yeah. But what's really great about this that I've discovered is it really opens my eyes to different ways to play, different synergies, like all sorts of different things. It's like,
because you're out of here counting cards. You're like, I play one way, small deck, incinerator level.
Yeah.
And the game's like, hey, by the way, you can do this. And you're like, okay, I'm listening. I get this.
Yeah. So I've really been enjoying that mode. I usually don't go for those other types of modes, but the problem is I've been playing the normal mode so much, I've kind of hit a brick wall where I just can't get past Covenant level 9, I think it is.
You've hit the end of the track, would you say? I don't know. Okay.
Got a little derailed there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, as great as this game is, you know, it's not perfect. There's a few things that don't work, but these are kind of minor complaints. Number one, the story. There is a story. Who cares? I mean, it feels totally tacked on. It doesn't really affect the gameplay. And, you know, the only time, like when I think about deck builders, they're so mechanics heavy that story always feels totally unnecessary. The only example I can think of to the contrary was Grifflins by Clay Entertainment. That was like an RPG game. Basically, I still didn't pay too much attention to the story, but basically it was like an RPG game. It had this whole sprawling story that changed depending on the decisions that you made. And it is kind of ironic. So about 5 years ago, I interviewed Kevin Forbes from Clay Entertainment. And in that interview, he said he had the same opinion as me. He did not really care for story in games. He was all about the mechanics. So I thought it was kind of ironic that Grifflins was like probably the best example of story in a deck building game that I could think of.
They're like, we'll give it a shot, but it's not really for us. And it turns out to be like a standout example.
Like you have to have a story in a game, even if you don't think it's necessary or if you personally don't enjoy it. Like you have to have story in a game these days somehow. But yeah, that and the other thing is the older clans, they are playable in this, which is cool, but they feel totally outdated. Like if it wasn't for the dimensional portal mode, I'd never touch them. First of all, I've already played them like to death in the first game. Second, like the new clans in Monster Train 2 are so interesting that you put them side by side, the old ones, and they just pale in comparison. And I think they actually are underpowered. I don't think it's really just my opinion, but I think they probably, their win rate is probably lower. But yeah, man, Monster Train 2, fantastic game. Thank you so much, JP Diddy, for gifting it to me. Now that I've talked about it, I don't know. I guess I have to stop playing it and play something else. And that's kind of sad.
God, that's the worst thing with this podcast.
But it has been a lot of fun. And you know what? I would always pick up Monster Train 1 and kind of get back into it for a little bit. I don't think Monster Train 2, like, it's probably going to be the same thing. Like, I'll continue to play this game. I uninstalled Monster Train 1 though, because this is just so much better in every single way. It's like, well, I guess I'm literally never playing Monster Train 1 ever again in my entire life.
Sad moment, dude.
How did you remember Left 4 Dead 2 versus Left 4 Dead 1. It's like one of those instances where one game completely replaces another.
Yeah. Yeah, no nostalgia needed. The new one is still great. Dude, I had so much fun with Monster Train right after I played Slay the Spire. I was like, oh, they took it to another level. Slay the Spire is wonderful, but Monster Train 2 is so much better. And I know that you have here Slay the Spire 2 is expected to. I feel like this is a battle of the heavyweights that we're witnessing, you know? It's like Slay the Spire, Monster Train 2 is like, we're coming out with 2. And now Slay the Spire is like, hold your horses, we're coming out with 2.
It is like a back and forth. And so I was back and forth on the Monster Train versus Slay the Spire debate. Like I was on one side of the argument, back and forth, couldn't make up my mind. And now I'm just like, oh my God, Monster Train 2 is just totally better than everything out there. So I'm wondering, is there any way Slay the Spire 2 can be better than Monster Train 2? I don't think it can, but hey, I have been wrong before.
That's interesting. I'm not going to play it. It's difficult because, you know, there's only a certain amount of free time. And when you play a game, I feel like for all of us that do this podcast, the intention is you bring it to the podcast. And so I have Monster Train 2 installed, ready to go. I just haven't had a deep dive, but I have a dog in this fight, I think, with Slay the Spire 1 and Monster Train 1, where Monster Train was better in every single way than Slay the Spire. I had more fun. There was more options. It was just more modern. The combat felt better, or like I had better control over it. But there was something about the simplicity of Slay the Spire that had me at like 50 hours in Slay the Spire and around 20 hours in Monster Train. And I know like hour to hour isn't the best comparison of a game, but I don't know. I just felt myself more drawn to Slay the Spire, even though on paper Monster Train was better. And while I was playing it, I thought it was better. But then I was like, hey, how's Slay the Spire doing? I don't know.
Well, that's how I felt at one point, too. I had more, I think I still do have more hours in Slay the Spire than I do in Monster Train. And there's something pure in its simplicity for Slay the Spire. Like I always enjoy very simple, forthright games, like things that are not overcomplicated for the sake of being complex. And I think Slay the Spire was like that. Like it was just so simple and direct and like yet so satisfying and so well designed. And I think when I went back to play Slay the Spire last time, I realized the reason I had so many hours in it is it's not as quick as Monster Train is. Like it's just the gameplay is slower. So it takes you longer to get through a run in Slay the Spire than it does with Monster Train.
That's true.
Yeah, I totally, these are both great games. You know, it's not like one has to be bad for the other to be good, but right now I'm on the Monster Train 2 train.
Nice. Cool. I think that's a great question to ask our community this week in Discord. What side are you on, Monster Train or Slay the Spire?
Pit them against each other.
Pit them against each other. Well, I have an opposite opinion. No, obviously I love deck builders. They're so fun. And I've been kind of on a deck builder bent. starting with Slay the Spire. Then I went to Drop Duchy. Ballionaire, you could make the case, is a deck builder, although maybe a non-standard one. And finally, Nine Kings, this game I'm going to talk about this week. And I don't know, like I'm just a little burnt out on them. So, I mean, I don't know. Let's start at the top. Nine Kings. It's like this pixel army roguelite deck builder, but the focus is on adjacency bonuses that I feel like it's trying to encourage you to break the game as much as possible. Things that shouldn't necessarily stack up across these different kings, which are these different decks and kingdoms that you get beside each other, make just ridiculous combinations that can be really satisfying. When I looked at the Steam page, I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect for traveling. You know, I was going to Vancouver with Mara. She goes to bed quite early, so I'm just in a room with nothing really to do. I have to be quiet. And so the Steam deck comes out, and simple games in that couple hours where I'm awake are what I'm looking for. You know, easy to pause, easy to get back into, nothing crazy going on. But I just want to play you some audio, Bobby, and just tell me what you hear, okay? What does that sound like?
Well, there was a lot of sounds in there.
Yeah.
It sounded like a bird banging its head against a bell and then dropping change out of its pocket.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I went to the park, and that's exactly what this crazy fucking bird. Yeah, that is the sound of me having a lot of adjacency bonuses and basically breaking the game. And all these sounds and bops and doobobs are going off, telling me, my numbers are going up. And when I had that run, I basically pretty much broke the game as intended, as the makers are encouraging you to experiment and try to do. And I just came to this realization. I was like, what is different than a slot machine about what I'm doing in this game right now? I mean, the numbers are going up. The dopamine is flowing in my mind. The battles are really quick. Like, I've completely broken the game. And I don't know, like, I think that audio could have been a lot of games. It could have been Balatro. It could have been Ballionaire. It could have been Drop Duchy. It might even been Slay the Spire if you have a really sick combo going, especially with that poison character. You could keep throwing cards out. I think the shivs, you could do 3 a match, and then you got the replay card and you could do 3 more, and it could get crazy. Or it could be a VLT, at your local bar or whatever, seeing some depressing looking old man just spin the knob. What is separating me from that man, Bobby? That is what I'm trying to decode as I'm breaking Nine Kings.
What's a VLT?
A VLT? A video lottery terminal, I believe. Is that?
Never heard that term before.
Oh, yeah. They're like the slot machines that are in bars. I think they're VLTs now. I'm questioning.
Okay. So I don't know how it is in Canada, but slot machines are not legal in a lot of parts around here. Like, you can't just have a slot machine in 7-Eleven out here.
No. They're only in bars, and they're closely regulated here. But you do see, I think, the most depressed looking people playing on VLTs. And yeah, usually like the bar is having a great time. People are playing pool, hanging out, meeting each other. And then there's like 4 elderly people in the corner just like hitting the slot machine. And that's what I felt when I was playing Nine Kings late at night with the reflection of the Steam Deck light on my face. I was like, where am I? What's separating me? So I'm playing it on 3 times speed, first of all, because I've gotten the game pretty quickly. And I think that's contributing to why I'm feeling so dead inside, because, you're seeing these massive armies clash against each other, but I don't care about that. I'm focused on the numbers going up. I don't care about all this effort into the actual battle. I'm like, okay, what are the numbers doing? So I think maybe this particular game is worse for that VLT feel. But it still doesn't lack strategy. I mean, you are given a bunch of cards that you have to weigh what is going to be the best adjacency decision. If I get this card now in 9 rounds, will I get that perfect card I need to kind of complete my weird mashup of what I think will break this game? And that is super satisfying. And I mean, it's super satisfying in Drop Duchy, which was a way more strategic deck builder than I think we're all probably used to. It's satisfying. I mean, Balatro was super satisfying as well when you have a really good hand. It's not the graphics. I don't care that it's pixel art. I like pixel art. It's not the lack of story. I mean, I could kind of care less. It's not like one thing I can really pinpoint, but it was just this feeling of dread. Like I'm burned out on these types of games, maybe because I've been playing so much of them. And it reminded me of talking to a couple of other people in real life where I'm like, what are you playing? And they would be like, the latest RPG or whatever. And I would be like, I'm playing a roguelite. And they're like, I don't touch roguelite games. And I'd be like, that's really interesting. It's a mechanic that's in so many games these days. Why do you feel that way? And they're just like, I can't stomach them. I can't stand them. Something about them turns me off. And that's kind of what I'm starting to feel for deck builders. I mean, unfortunately, Nine Kings is a great game. I mean, I'm having fun while playing it. There's multiple paths to victory. Everything feels super intentional. The little army men, when they go pew pew, if you're playing the game slow enough to actually appreciate that, is cool. It has 92% positive rating on Steam, so I'm not the only one that feels this way. Yeah, I mean, it has everything on paper. That's a great game. I'm just burned out on these genres. I think it's the cards. Maybe I hate the cards. I don't know, Bobby. What do you think? Have you ever been burned out on like a whole genre? Does that make me
all the
does
time?
That make me genreist?
No, people get burned out on games and genres all the time, and they just run their course. And I think the reason. So first of all, roguelikes are failure is a necessary part of the game. The idea behind the roguelike is you try and try again. So I can understand why people don't like them, because you're going to have a certain percentage of your playthroughs are going to amount to nothing. I mean, if it's a roguelike, then you get some like currency that you can spend. Yeah, you get that systemic progression, and that's kind of how the game just like rewards you for your time. Now, an actual like hardcore roguelite like that doesn't do that. I can't touch those. I wouldn't. So I totally understand why people don't touch those. But then on top of that, you have the cards, and anything with cards is going to feel like gambling because, again, going back to what I was talking about with Monster Train 2, it's the randomness. Like a card is a deck, like even just like poker or blackjack. You got a deck of 52 cards, and you're just going to get lucky sometimes, and most of the time you're not. It's really exciting those few times you get lucky, and then the times that you don't, it's not even like it upsets you. You're just like, nope, next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does build that habit, like that addictive gambling feeling inside you anytime you have a card-based game, because it's going to have that randomness. And I totally understand people who are like, I prefer like skill-based games, like things they're more on the side of skill-based. And any deck building game is going to balance that in some way. So the deck building part, like you build your deck, you go in with that deck and you think it's really good, and that sets you up for success, but it still comes down to the cards that you just happen to pick out of there. So it's always going to have that randomness element to it. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. And like, I get to that point too with these games, and eventually I'll hit that point with Monster Train too. I mean, I'm not totally immune to it. And games like Balatro and Ballionaire, like those games to me are like Satisfactory and Factorio. Like they're a little too scary. Like I've got an addictive personality. I tend to latch onto things. But the games that like really feed into that, I'm very scared to touch. I felt that way about World of Warcraft, and I put off playing it for so long, and then I did, and I lost like 3 years of my life.
Let this be a tale of caution. Don't pick up WoW unless you're prepared. No, totally. Like, and I just got this is like maybe a little too intense, but I got like a feeling of sickness in my stomach. Like, I've known people who have gone to like this bar I always used to go to, and I would be having a great time with my friends, and they would be on the fucking VLTs, dude, like thousands of dollars a night. And I couldn't understand it. I really was so judgmental. Like, I just couldn't get there. And then all of a sudden, at a night in Vancouver, as I'm playing Nine Kings, I feel like I get it. I'm playing the game. I'm not even playing the game. I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm going, wait, what the fuck am I doing? But, you know, to Monster Train 2's credit, it sounds like they've kind of layered it with a lot of options and decisions, and they've removed the number go up part of it. So it sounds like it's a little bit more engaging at least, but yeah, I've got to uninstall Nine Kings, and I probably won't pick it up again, even though it's a great game. And I think I'm going to struggle with these sorts of mechanics and deck builders going forward, especially if they focus on just the number. I don't know if I'm going to like that too much. Yeah, the illusion of the game is melted away, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happens. Like, you boil down a game. When you play it so much like that, you boil it down to just like the bare minimum, like the structure of the game. And then that's all you see. You don't see any of the fluff anymore. I didn't play Nine Kings nearly as much as you did. I think I played it during Steam's Next Fest like a while back or something. Yeah. And, you know, I kind of had the same reaction. Some of the games handle it differently than others. And I think what Monster Train 2, when I'm playing that, I'm trying to think what motivated me in that game. Why did I keep playing it? Part of it was because they do give you that systemic progression. You level up the different factions. You unlock new cards. They change the gameplay as well as make it more difficult while making you more powerful. They also pit you against your friends list. So I can see what covenant level my friends are at. And they were catching up to me. I got to check that again and see where they're at now. But
are you still at the top? Like, I got to be at the top. That was
motivating me. And in Monster Train 1, there was, I think it was one of our listeners, Rusty Bagel. And I was like, I'm never catching up to him, man. He is just way too far ahead. But that was kind of motivating me as well. But I hit a point with Monster Train 1, and I'm also hitting that point now with Monster Train 2, where I can't progress. The game is very challenging, and I've just had too many unsuccessful runs, and it's kind of ruining the game for me. It's like I don't want to play it anymore because I feel like I'm wasting my time. And that's when I started switching over to the Dimensional Portal, the random play mode, and that's been a lot more satisfying. I mean, I played it, and then I beat the run, and I was like, God, I haven't beat a run in a long time. That felt so good, and I was like reinvigorated. But yeah, I think it's just like, you know, like gambling, that the failure just like, it can motivate you to come back for another playthrough, but after so many failed runs, it's hard to feel like your time is valuable, and you get that sick feeling. And hopefully we all have that awareness of when we're being like manipulated, or we're getting too fixated on something, or it's too much of an addiction. Like, that's something that you don't really have as a child. And as you get older, you become a little more sensitive to that, at least for me. And that's why, like, I'm pretty critical of games sometimes, because I see those, you know, what they were called on that website, dark patterns, like those, what is that website? Darkpatterns.com or dark.patterns, but it identifies, like, specifically lays out what those things are in games that make you feel that way. And
yeah, we got to find that and put those in the show notes, because that's one of the greatest things you've ever brought up on this podcast.
Yeah. And once you read it, you see it everywhere. Like, every game has some bit of that somewhere. And, you know, part of that is just kind of what like keeps us coming back to the game. Like, it's just a smart way to make a game, because that's how you're going to get people playing it all the time. But it's also makes you appreciate the games that don't do that, or don't do it very much, but are still incredibly successful and very fun. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, sorry, this got maybe a little too real.
This went to a dark place, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about deck building. We just talked about addiction.
Yeah. And I will say, when I started to play Nine Kings, I thought, oh, this is really clever what they're doing. And I love the mashups. But yeah, I got too deep in the watering hole. And I think, to be fair, that's just games in general. Like, it's not super unique to deck builders. You can probably do that with anything. I mean, my grandma loves solitaire, and I'm thinking maybe too much, like, it's possible to be out there.
Does she play it with a real deck of cards?
Sometimes she does at family functions with herself. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Because that's what my mom does. My mom does not do anything with
fuck
computers.
Around with the digital. I'm real.
No, not at all. But every time I go over there, she's always got like the cards laid out, and she's playing like free cell.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move down to, what do we want to play? So sort of in this same vein of me being burnt out on deck builders, what I'm looking for is something with deeper mechanics. I want an immersive story. I want a game that's completable. I want, the type of games that I've talked about on this podcast for maybe 2 or 3 months now haven't been this type of game. And so, yeah, I'm really yearning to get back to that. And so I was looking, and I found Pacific Drive, which is this car sim scavenging adventure with sort of a spooky story. And I know Emilio talked about it, and he played it quite a while ago, maybe a couple of years when it came out. But I haven't really played any vehicle sims in my life before, except for Star Trucker. And when I played Star Trucker, I was like, oh, I think I like this. I think I like when I have to look at the ignition and press like E and the key turns, or I have to like look at the actual mirror on the side of my cab to see what's behind me. I don't get that view automatically. We're used to games gamifying a lot of systems, and it's nice when it takes the universe it's in more seriously and more simulative. You have a little bit more of a simulative experience. So anyways, that's kind of what Pacific Drive has been like. I've played a couple hours so far, and that is kind of what I would like to really sink my teeth into in the next couple weeks. How about you, Bobby?
Well, it's definitely a change of pace. All right. This week, I'm looking at REMATCH. So this is basically Rocket League, and stay with me on this, but instead of cars, people.
No!
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude.
Mind blown. So it's 3v3 or 4v4 soccer, or for our international listeners, football.
Wow. You even did the accent. That's great, dude.
Yeah. Oh, of course, dude. Nothing but the best over here. This game was actually came very highly recommended from one of our listeners, Jeff Sunday. Like, he DM'd me about this game. He was like, you got to check it out. And I was looking at it, and I was like, and it is exactly what I said. It's like, this is Rocket League, but with people. And I'm like, why does that look so good, actually?
Yeah.
And I tried to boil down, like, what did Rocket League do that made soccer fun? And for me, it was like soccer games, and I'm like thinking of FIFA mainly, they focus more on the management sim aspect. And Rocket League was like, we're just going to do nonstop action, cars driving up walls, physics, kind of fumble core. It's going to be like heart pounding, engaging for like 15 straight minutes and then a new match. Like, that was their whole strategy. And I mean, why can't you do that with people as well? Why do they have to be cars? Right. So I think that's what
Let's stand up for the people, dude.
I mean, and the great thing about the cars, though, is like there's just so many opportunities for tie-ins there. You can get the Ghostbuster car, the Batmobile, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in REMATCH, I don't know. You can be people with different haircuts, I guess, or a woman. I mean, there's options, but it is just like fast, intense gameplay. There's no fouls. There's no offsides, no pauses. So they're kind of bringing it back more to that. And it's the only thing that kind of stops me from really, like, I signed up for the beta, did not get in time. or the early access play test. Didn't happen. And the game is $30. And I'm like, man, was Rocket League even $30 when it came out?
I think it was free to play.
No, it wasn't free to play.
Right.
I remember paying money.
Later.
I want to say it was like $20, but
okay, dude, that was like 500 years ago, though.
Yeah, that was back with my Harambe joke, dude. That's how long ago that was.
2016, back when he was still alive, just living his little gorilla life.
That was the year that I went to QuakeCon, and there was Harambe posters and stuff all over the place. Everybody was memeing it super hard. Discord had recently came out. Rocket League was taking the world by storm. Like, it was a different time back then. But yeah, so Rematch, I mean, it looks pretty good, but I know there's not going to be good keyboard and mouse support for this game. That's where I really struggled with Rocket League. They
really? You don't think so?
I'm sure they'll have it, but it's going to be like Rocket League, where the only way you can be competitive to any degree is by using a controller.
Oh.
And the thing that really messed me up with Rocket League 2 was just like, I was horrible at the whole physics aspect of it. I didn't know how to hit the ball just right with my car to make it go in the direction that I wanted. So for me, it was just like, just taking Hail Mary swings and hoping I get lucky. That was my whole strategy, and it did not work. So I would like to see Rematch be more, I don't know, like skill-based, or like a little, not so much like physics, like leaning heavy on the physics. So I'd like to see it a little more on that side, so I can be good at it and not lose all the time.
Right, you selfish bastard. No, I went down a little Rocket League hole maybe 5 years ago, where I was watching like old tutorials, and when you see someone who is really good at Rocket League and they're like dribbling the ball down the course with their car, like their car is vertical and they're somehow like bouncing the ball up, and like, there are people who have just mastered the physics in that game, and it's so fun to watch. I think it's a better game to watch than like League of Legends or something, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's so action-packed, and the experts at it are
It's
amazing.
Also easier to understand too. Like, anybody can look at that and understand what's happening. You watch League of Legends and it's just like a bunch of flashes and nobody knows what's going on there. Like, even me, who I played the game before, like, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know all the characters, all their abilities, and why this one, why this side won and that side lost, like in a battle. Like, I can't, and most people can't. Like, it's just hard to discern what's happening. But with Rocket League, it's so simple. In fact, during DreamHack in San Diego back in 2023, they were out here at the convention center. Me and Emilio went. They were doing competitive Rocket League. So we sat down and we watched for a little bit, and it's a pretty exciting thing to watch. And it's also like there's not a lot of downtime in it too. So it's not like, man, I'm really beating up on MOBAs here, but it's not like Dota MOBA 2, where it's just like, okay, we're going to have a real slow 15 minutes and then things are going to finally get good here, from a spectator's perspective.
Right. We had a whole episode on MOBAs like 3 weeks ago, but it's okay.
Yeah. So check it out on Steam, Rematch. There's like 90,000 people playing this game. So, I mean, people are playing it. It's got a community there.
Oh, yeah, I would love to check that out. Probably not going to, but let's shift down to what is our community up to. So this show is brought to you by John Vogel, Truthbringer, and everyone who is supporting us on Patreon, but especially those two, kind of going above and beyond with the expanded roles. But we love all our children equally, I will say. We just don't know all your names off the top of our head. Special shout out to someone named Will, who joined our Discord, Bobby, and he joined with an ID, like a Discord ID that said Nathan. So like his gamer name was Will, but his Discord ID was Nathan. And I don't know why that sent me. I was like, what is going on? This is bot behavior. You have a crazy name that's like your gamer tag, Cool Juice 520, and then you have your real name, which is George, but you never do a gamer name that's like Hank, and then your real name is like Bob. Like, it just is weird.
You know what, though? I've noticed a trend on Discord. I'm pretty sure I started it, but a lot of people are just switching their gamer tag to their normal name.
Yeah, I don't know if you started. You totally started it. Yeah, I saw you. You know, we made fun of you for doing it. We laughed at you. We say, "Who is this guy, Robert? What a lame gamer tag." That was like maybe like a year ago or something. And then someone joined the Discord and they were like, "Who's who's Christian or who's Sniper?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I introduced myself as Christian. It makes sense that on the Discord I'm Christian, you know." And so it's not like that on other Discords. My super cool gamer name is still my name, except on this one.
Yeah, you can change it per Discord server now. So, and if you hover over someone's name, I think you can still see their actual name and the hashtag number, so like their unique ID.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see who I really am still, even though I call myself Robert. I'm really CyberStud69 hashtag 493.
Bro, that was you in that chat room? Awkward. All right. Listener questions, Bobby. What do we got?
All right. We got a few here. If we didn't get to yours, we'll get to it next week. First one coming from Warconias. Which developer fumbled the hardest and why? BioWare, Ubisoft, Blizzard, Bungie, or Rocksteady?
I think the answer is obviously Blizzard. I don't know. No hate to anyone who works at Blizzard, but like, well, no, lots of people, Rianne loved Diablo 4 and she's never played that type of game before. Rianne, my wife. But for me, I think they peaked with Heroes of the Storm release. That's all I'm going to say. And that was a long time ago. So I think out of this lineup, Blizzard.
Yeah. Oh, man. See, I couldn't even speak to like some of these. So Bungie, I know they're working on Marathon. It doesn't look like that's going to be very good. So I think we've got an incoming flop. Ubisoft, I don't know. BioWare, I don't know. Rocksteady, I don't play their games really. But Blizzard, when's the last time they made like a new game? Was it Overwatch? It's been a while since we had like a fresh new game. I feel like it's been almost 10 years now. I mean, we had Diablo 4 and I think they're just, I don't know if they're really innovating like they used to anymore, which is disappointing, but you know, they're still a massive company. They still make really good / addictive games. I played way too much Diablo 4. Was it good or was I just addicted? I don't know. Who knows? But really, I'd love to see something new from them. They used to come out with new things and take chances. But of course, you know, now that they're like tied in with Activision, I don't think that's really what they do anymore. They're just pumping out those Call of Duties.
Yeah. Which the last one looked really good, I will say. I was like,
is
this one I'm going to...
They all look great. I never play them. The new one comes out. I'm like, oh, maybe this one. Nope.
$80? No way. Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Pharaoh Steve. Does a company like CDPR still have your respect if they launch a rough game like Cyberpunk, but ultimately fix it?
Yeah, I don't know what could leave a better taste in my mouth. I mean, some would say, well, no, it's not easy, but you release a game, you worked hard, QA did what they were supposed to do, the game is fun, everyone loves it. That is maybe comparatively easy, not easy, but if you release a bad game and you commit to fixing it, even though economically it might not make the most sense, but you are doing it anyways, I think that's far more honorable, I suppose. So yeah, they have my respect for sure.
All right. First of all, I didn't really care for Cyberpunk, not really my type of game, but I will say, I think we put way too much emphasis on launch. Like, I don't know, man. That's just...
Are you a launch smonch kind of guy, Bobby? That's crazy.
Man, if there's one bug in that 1.0,
right,
I'm done. No.
I'm done.
I think it's kind of ridiculous to expect a game to come out at launch and not have any issues. It may have a lot of issues, but for a game as big as Cyberpunk, I feel like that's totally expected. I mean, that's a huge game, and we all knew the game it was going to be. Like, and I don't know. I think the hardest thing, and this doesn't affect me at all, but I think the biggest problem with launch is that it wasn't playable on the last gen system, like that old PlayStation. Well, was it 3 or 4 at the time? I can't remember. I think PlayStation 4 couldn't run it, and I don't know if they had to take it off of PS4 or what they ended up doing with that, but I think that was probably the worst thing, because then it sucks for everyone who's got a PS4 and can't play the game or has like a really bad experience. But everybody else, it was just like, whatever, you got a bug here or there. But I don't put too much emphasis on launch. Like I don't know. But I play a lot of stuff in early access.
I feel like you're on a date. You're like, I'm not really a launch guy. Just kind of take it easy and sleazy around early access.
Yeah, I stick it out for that 1.1, 1.2 patch. Usually things are good.
I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah.
And part of that is I don't work on video games, but I work in IT, and I just know how much of a shitstorm everything is. It's just like, dude, it's amazing when things work. To a relative, if you've got like 99.5% uptime, that's fucking incredible. Okay, he's got a follow-up question here. Did the Cyberpunk launch leave a bad enough taste in your mouth that you are worried about Witcher 4?
Nope,
I'm not Witcher.
I should be.
Really?
I mean, why wouldn't we be worried? It's the next thing. It's probably going to be more complicated. But I was just hook, line, and sinkered. I was the fish in the ocean, and the fisherman was the Witcher 4 Summer Games Fest trailer. And it hooked me right in the mouth, and I suddenly don't care about anything else. I haven't played a Witcher game before. I haven't played an RPG since Mass Effect in a really long time. Can't even remember the last RPG before my most recent playthrough of Mass Effect that I seriously tackled. And so I would love for The Witcher 4 to be that RPG, but I guess we'll see.
See, it's funny. I associate it more with Witcher. Like when I hear Witcher 4 is coming out, I'm like, well, Witcher 3 was pretty good, so that should be pretty good. Like I don't immediately go to Cyberpunk and feel like, well, that was the last game that they made that came out, so that'll
right.
And that's probably not a correct way of thinking, but I don't know. For me, I'm not super worried about it, especially since I feel like they've kind of done this game already. I mean, it's not like Cyberpunk was very different. I mean, it was a large scale RPG, but I think there
plus
were
you're a 1.4 kind of guy. You're like,
it'll get there.
It'll get there. Yeah.
All right. Last question from AJ Casper. What's your favorite indie game?
Great question, AJ Casper. I think the game that I keep coming back to that is a true indie is maybe a cop-out answer at this point, but it's FTL. I have like my games organized on my Steam library, and my favorites tab has maybe 20 or so games. And FTL is the one that's pretty much always installed. I don't know. They just perfected it. I've never had a bad FTL run. Even when I die halfway through, I was like, you know what? That was pretty fun. FTL.
All right. I don't even know what's indie anymore. But for me, I'm going to take it all the way back to where the indie renaissance really started, and that was Super Meat Boy. I feel like that game just changed things.
When's the last time you touched Super Meat Boy, though, Bobby?
Well, that's the thing, dude. All the games have built on the shoulders of Super Meat Boy.
Right. Got it.
Super Meat Boy / Binding of Isaac, I guess. But I don't know. I played a lot more Super Meat Boy. But yeah. All right. That's our last listener question.
It's the last one. Bobby, we have to plug something this week.
Yep. And that's going to be our Discord. So you can go to dlgaming.net and join our Discord from there. That's where it's happening. That's where we're hanging out. We're talking about things. We're posting pictures, all sorts of exciting stuff happening on the DL Gaming Discord.
Sweet. All right. Well, my name is Christian. Joining me today was, of course, Bobby. And next week's episode, Bobby is getting slimy with his girlfriend. I'll just leave that there. With Slime Rancher 2.
Actually, it's Slime Rancher 1.
Oh.
So sorry, folks.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is just really awkward now. Messed up the 1 and the 2. You know, earlier
It's still
you
going to be
said,
slimy.
yeah, you know, that's the point. The slimier, the better. You know, where's the fun in conquering your backlog anyways? That's the sort of ending saying I'm trying out. Maybe it'll stick. Bobby, I'm going to ask you what's playing us out, and then you would normally say what the sound is so the listeners would know. But I'm just going to hit the button and you'll instantly know and you'll tell everyone. Goodbye, everyone.
Be the big cheese on your block with a wheel of the good stuff.
That's
No
not
one
even a
has as
song.
many friends as the man with many cheeses. Not in the mood for cheese? That excuse has more holes than a slice of this fine Gorgonbear.